Hello everyone, welcome to the Art Workshop. My name is Christopher Epling. On behalf of Pike TV, we really appreciate you tuning in today. As you can tell, we're not huge on themes, but got a little theme going today because this is officially Christmas 2024. It's coming up pretty soon. If you're not ready, then you're probably like most people. But it's coming regardless, right? Once a year, this time of year really brings a lot of, for me anyway, speaking personally, a lot of different feelings. And I love to see the themes of the season and see the different decorations and lights and the way people celebrate this time of year. It's fun, and we're going to try to celebrate it today on the show too. So I have something in mind for today. I thought, well, if we were to do something that we could do at home, like you follow along, because that's the whole purpose, right? The show exists because I draw here, and hopefully you at home will follow along with me. That's the whole premise of the show. 109 episodes of the Art Workshop. That's been the premise since pretty much the start, and it's something that's followed through the show. I'm proud of that. We're proud of that, and it's something we want to continue. If you want to check out some past episodes, all 108 of them, because this is, you're watching one now, you could go to YouTube and look for Pike TV 99. And once you go there on their YouTube channel, once you go there, you're going to have to click on playlists. And once you do that, you're going to notice as you scroll through, there's a lot of really beneficial information there, a lot of serious stuff, more important than drawing, but there is an Art Workshop playlist, and in that you can find all past episodes. And if you go there, be sure to like the videos. It helps the channel and it makes it healthy, and it's a value for value system, right? That's what we want to do, value for value. So you're the viewer, you were valued here, and we want to give you value to watch. We also encourage you, if you have time and want to follow along at home, send us in what you create. We'd love to see it. And you send that to piketv99@gmail.com. Send the work. Let us know a little bit about you, the creator, too. You can change anything that we do. So if I draw with you and there's something I draw and you want to make it different, better, take a different viewpoint on it, that's wonderful. Send that in. We'd love to see it. If you didn't even follow along and you have art at home that you'd like to share, send it in. We may even show that too, okay? We'll talk a little bit about my materials now. That's something important for all artists whenever you create something. And now, this is one of those things where you do not have to have all this at home. These are materials that I've acquired. There are different types of brands of these materials. There's different types of options in terms of prices. We're not promoting anything on the show like that, but I'm going to be showing you what I am working with. So today my idea is to create a snow globe. A snow globe with a Christmas theme, and we're going to start by looking a little bit about what you'll need at home. Now, the first thing you're going to need definitely is a pencil, right? The pencil is so important because that's what makes our lines. My pencil has an eraser at the end of it. You may have a block eraser, whichever works. I'm going to be using a little bit of color today. I brought some colored pencils in, but out of these options, I'm only going to be using a couple. Now, we're going to be doing a snow scene, and one thing that you want to remember when you're creating a snow scene or a cold scene, the color blue works really well against the white, and it helps to make that feel effect of snow, the water effect a little bit, and it's really neat. So I'm going to pull those to the side. I'll be using those. I want to create buildings in this scene, so the snow is going to have a house in it, and for that, I'm going to use a darker color, so I'm going to pull out probably this dark green and probably the brown. So those are my colors. Now, if you have crayons at home, you can use crayons. If you have colored pencils, you can use that. If you don't even want to color yours, that's fine too, okay? Now, my phone is out because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up an example to use to pull from. So I'm going to be looking down here as we draw, and we're going to draw together now. So I got my pencil. We're ready to start. Now, here's the thing about circles, because a snow globe is a circle, right? So the hardest thing is making that circle look like a circle. If you can draw a circle perfectly the first time, you're probably maybe 10% of the population. But you can use something at home like this is a row of tape. You can set that down and mask it out, draw the circle from there. But in order for you to see at home what I'm doing today, I'm going to have to draw this bigger. So I'm going to attempt to draw a circle the size I need it, freehand, okay? I'm going to start at the top. See what happens. Okay, that's a pretty close to the circle. This left-hand side looks a little better than the right, but it's something to start with. So you at home, go ahead and do that too. Create yourself a circle in the middle of your page. Now obviously this is going to be the boundary of our snow globe, right? This is the globe part. Everything we draw is going to happen inside of this circle. Now you could draw this smaller at home if you want. If you've ever created a Christmas card by hand for someone, or maybe wanted to give a piece of art to someone, or maybe you just wanted to follow along for fun, this would be a great opportunity to do that, okay? Now that's as close to a circle as I can get. I know it's really not so much a circle, but it's pretty close. Now let's work on the base a little bit too before we start inside. So drop down on each corner, and I want you to draw a line coming down. So over here, it's not really a corner, but the side of the circle, you're going to draw a straight line coming down at about that point of your circle. You'll come in with a little bit, draw these hash marks, okay? Once you have those hash marks, you're going to connect them with another circle. This one's going to follow the line of the circle, okay? So there's continuity and there's balance. If this was a little bit, let's say this was a little bit thicker on one side than it was on the other, it's going to throw it off some. So you want to try to make this parallel and following the line at the bottom, okay? We're going to do this again. We're going to go over to the side. We're going to draw a line coming out on each side, a little tiny hash mark. You can't hardly even see it, but we're going to use that now. We're going to draw another layer coming around, connecting to this side. Okay, good. That gives us the frame of our base. What's left is we come over, draw a line coming down each side, and now we're going to connect that. Something like that, okay? Now inside here is where all of our primary action is going to take place with our drawing. We will be doing something to these lines at the bottom to enhance them in a little bit, but right now we're moving inside the circle. So inside the circle, I want to create a scene of maybe a little, not a whole village, but a couple of houses in winter. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here on the side though, and if you've ever seen a snow globe, and I'm sure everybody has, when you leave it still, all of those little particles that look like snow will fall and settle to the bottom, and it will create layers. So inside of our snow globe, we want to create the effect that there's a little bit of a layer here. So I'm going to draw a line kind of just curving down and up. Okay, so that's maybe some of those little particles that make the snow kind of build up here. And I'm going to pull up here on the circle, about halfway now. I'm going to draw a line coming up and down. Just about here on this line, you want to come in with your pencil and you want to draw another line coming up, connecting to this other side. Now you have what looks like or could be maybe mountains, but they're actually just small rolling hills. We're going to give that effect more enhancement by adding a couple features inside of this area here. The first thing we're going to do is a house. Now we're going to come over about right here, and we'll draw two lines to make the effect of maybe a wall. And then I'm going to connect those lines. So now it looks like a square, but the square is bent just a little bit. Now we're going to come back this way for the roof, come down, in. The roof is going to have a peak to it, so I'm going to go in about midway here in that square. You may want to draw a line like midway, just very lightly to kind of give you an idea where that peak will be. But once you've drawn a line here, in the middle of that square, you can come up here and draw a line connecting to the edges, okay? Now that's going to start looking like a roof. Now in order for this to actually be, somewhat realistic, we need to connect the roof to another side, right? So we're going to come over here to this side. We're going to draw a line coming up. Make sure though this line that I just drew here is parallel with this line here so that the roof is aligned correctly, the perspective is correct, okay? That's something you need to watch out for. But once you have that, then you can connect it. Now, we're going to put a couple features inside here. We're going to add a door. maybe upstairs window. Maybe a couple windows down here, side. And then of course here on this side, 2 more squares. 1, 2. Okay. Now we have a building. We're going to draw a little line coming out from the building down to here. Now we're going to add another hill. So just like you drew this line coming up and down, you're going to draw one here, like this. Inside of this area here, you're going to draw maybe a couple snowmen, right? So we'll start with the first one here. Really easy. You're just going to draw circle, and then you're going to add another one. Really, this is like the upside down letter C, really, because you don't want to fill the circle out completely. We're going to just do 2 circles on our snowman, though. We're not going to do 3. Maybe add a couple little features on our snowman, a couple arms, button for eyes, maybe a hat. And maybe a scarf. Now, just beside of the snowman, we're going to add another snowman. This one's smaller. My family, we love to, that first big snow, if you get one in a year, we love to go outside and enjoy some of that fresh fallen snow in the winter. Makes the roads a little bit sometimes dangerous, so that's something you should be careful about. Also, there's a little tip to the side while we're drawing. I don't know if letting your water drip keeps your lines from freezing. I don't want to promote that, but some people say so. But the water company probably wouldn't appreciate it. But anyway, back to the drawing. We've got 2 snowmen. We're going to come over to this little area here, this little hill that you drew, the 4th one, the last one. We're going to add another little structure similar to this. This is like a little building, though. This isn't a home. So you can imagine a family living here, and over here they have a building where they maybe put materials, tools, and things like that, okay? Just like we did with this house, you start out by drawing 2 lines, one here, one here. This one obviously going to be a little bit smaller, right? I'm going to connect it. Now before you draw this line connecting here, just like you drew this, imagine this really light line going up the middle of that square. Do the same thing for this. Now it's going to be a small building, so we're not going to go too high up, but like that. Now we're going to connect these edges. We're going to add a roof coming out. You can determine about how big your building will be here. Pretty small one, something like that, like a shed. There we go. And we'll do some erasing too in a minute. So like these lines here that kind of cross section through, we're going to get rid of those, okay? That's that really light line that you drew plus a little bit of the background of those hills. That way it's good and clean and you kind of can see what you're doing, okay? I do that ever so often while I'm drawing. Snowman could use a little help. There we go. Now we have a house, we have a shed, and our little shed can maybe have a little window here. Now the reason I'm stressing these windows is in a minute when we add a little bit of shading in here, what's going to happen is these windows are going to have light coming from them. So we need kind of something to break up the darkness, okay? All right, from here, we've got a few more features we can add. So we have a house, we have a building, we have a couple of snowmen. Let's go ahead and add maybe some trees. So to do this, we're going to be drawing some evergreens, okay? With evergreens, it's the same pattern over and over. You just make the little pattern smaller as you go up so it kind of thins out like the tree, okay? Here's what I mean by that. We'll start over here by the building, and we're going to start out at the bottom, and I'm making these lines that are jagged, okay? Then I repeat that again, smaller this time, smaller, smaller, until I get to the top of the tree, right? Something like that. okay? You're going to do this a few more times, maybe add one, a smaller tree right here by the edge of your snow globe. So jagged lines, more jagged lines, thin them up as you go up till you get to the top of the tree, right? Now, this little area right here that connects this hill to that little section of that hill, we're going to add a fence. For this, it's really simple. You just need to draw a line following the contour of that line down into that line first. And once you've done that, you're going to go in between here, and you're going to add posts, just dashes. Make sure your dashes are, same distance apart as you go along. That fence can continue now over here. Add another line here. There we go. Now, the bottom of our snow globe is pretty much filled up. We could stop right here, probably do some shading, and it'll work out fine. But I want to add just a couple of small details before we do that. The first thing I want to do, I want to add a few more trees in the background, okay? So we're going to start right here. We're going to make some jagged lines. Make sure as you go up, you get smaller, smaller to a peak, okay? Now this takes a little bit of practice doing, and I don't mean to make it sound like you could just do this the first time, but some folks can. It takes a little practice. I had to practice myself quite a bit to do it, but I can do it fairly easy now. Now, along with the pine trees, well, let's add one more big one right here. I'm going to put a really big tree right here behind this mound before we move on. Okay, you barely see the top of that one, right? So what I want to do now, though, is think about where the lighting is occurring. And I have a lot of features inside this globe that's going to be impacted by shadow, right? Where the light hits it. That can make this whole drawing look so much neater when we add a little bit of that, show that little bit of that contrast between light and darkness, okay? Shadow and light. In order for us to do that, we have our pine trees, but I also want to include maybe a couple of trees that have lost their leaves. So we start out with just a line going up. We're going to do this a couple more times throughout the drawing. It's a straight line going up, the line's coming off of it. There, that's good. Now let's work a little bit on our shadowing, okay? I'm going to use this dark blue, and I'm going to go through here on this side, and I'm going to darken in all of this area of this building, even on this end, okay? And then I'm going to come over here. Now, when you use color, one specific color, and you want to show the difference between the contrast of shadow and light, you use what's called a value of that color. Okay, so blue has a multitude of value of it. It can be really dark, it can be very light. So as we're doing this, we're thinking a little bit about, well, where would this light fall if there was a light source? So the light, obviously in the studio, is above me. So in this snow globe, we're going to pretend that the light source is the same, as if the snow globe was actually sitting here. In order to do that, if the light source is above you to the right a little bit, you want to add a value of blue on the left of all your objects, if that makes sense. So whatever's further away from our light source, okay? So that we're going to put some shadow here, here, and we're going to darken in the whole bottom of the snow globe where we put the buildup of those little particles, right? So now as you can see, everything to the left has a little bit of value. Now I have a lighter blue here that I'm going to use. And what I want to do for this is just go in and add just a little bit of a lighter value in some of these areas. That way, here in a little bit, it will look more realistic, okay? Because the blue won't just stop so fast that way. It gets a little bit lighter as it gets closer to the the light source. Okay, all the windows I did not color in, as you can see. There's light coming out and permeating from those windows. You can use these darker colors too, such as this maroon, for the base of your snow globe. How you do that is you come over to the edge, hold your pencil or your color pencil or crayon, whatever you're using, kind of to the side, almost like chopsticks, okay? And you're going to come in and you're going to go back and forth really fast and darken this area in really dark. That's on the main far left. Now, as you get towards the middle, you're going to lighten up, okay? Lighten up, right? I've been told to lighten up. If everybody's been told to lighten up, you know what I mean. We're going to do the same thing with the pencil. We're going to lighten up. We're going to come over to the right, go towards the middle again. Okay, lighten up, right? It's kind of hard to do, lighten up. You know, holidays can be stressful too. I just want to make that point as we're drawing. Okay, it's not. I know it's not all glimmer and you know, go through light shows and stuff. It's stressful. Holidays can be stressful, especially whenever, you know, there's a lot of things that we're all dealing with as a society and culture. We all have our problems, and we all have things that are on our mind. And so, you know, that's something that they say, though, that a lot of folks experience seasonal depression during this time of year. If that's you, if that qualifies, you know, for you, then, you know, I want to just share something personal as I'm coloring this in. Drawing has helped me to kind of let it go, right? A lot of things, kind of a de-stressor. And if you never tried drawing before as a de-stressor, it might not be your thing, right? A lot of people do a lot of different stuff. Fish, crochet, play instruments, sports, whatever it might be. But drawing for me has been that thing. Now I've completely colored in the base of it and rambled and didn't explain what I was doing, but I'm going to kind of re-step backwards and tell you, okay? So I've darkened in, like I said at the beginning, on the left and right, pretty dark. As I've gotten towards the middle, I've lightened up, right? I've de-stressed myself. Now, as I've done that, if you notice, if you look close here, you see that there's a white strip that I've purposely left blank here and here. What that white strip does is it separates this dark color just enough that when you look at it, when your eye looks at it, it feels like there's light reflecting here. You see the different step-ups going up to where the actual base holding that snow globe, right? So that's how color can be used, and it's fun to use it that way. But before we finish up, there's something else we want to do. I'm going to go back to this darker blue for a second. Actually, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to use green, a little bit of green. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in here. So I'm going to come back here in the back of the snow globe, and look what I'm doing. I'm holding my pencil sideways. As I get towards the top of the snow globe, I'm lightening up on my color, okay? And I'm going here on this side too and do the same thing. So it's really dark down here. Notice what I'm doing. I'm going back and forth, right? Making this kind of like a sideways motion. As I get closer to the top, I'm lightening it up again, see? But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We have the green now, which makes the neat effect of there being some sort of depth in this picture, so we can tell that this is closer to us than this is, even though it's all contained in that little circle, that little snow globe, right? What we're going to do is we're going to darken it up just a little bit more, and I'm going to combine probably a little bit. Now let's just keep with green. Let me darken this area up just a little bit more. You may have to do that yourself. I just noticed it needed it. See, I mean, even as I'm doing this, I'm still learning as I go. I love that about art. You never know everything about art. It's just something that you can always play around with and take a different perspective or approach at something, and try something different. It's something good, I think. And whatever your interest might be, I encourage you, if it's you with, like I said earlier, was dealing with anything during the season, rely on those things and whatever it is to get you through with your faith and hobbies and so forth. But here's what we've got so far. Our snow globe is in full effect. Now, if we wanted to put some drops of maybe paint or something, if you were to color in everything, and you could go back through and you can take one of these markers, which is like an alcohol-based marker, and you can actually dab it to give the effect of there being, like snowflakes. The only thing bad about this, you have to shake it up a whole lot, and it doesn't really want to sometimes cooperate. Try to add a few. Maybe you can see them. I can see them here, but they're really small. There we go. Yeah. And if you wanted to continue this a little bit further, you could always play around with how dark you've created these colors, how well balanced they are. So we're going to try to do that a little bit more right here. We're just going to add a little bit more. There we go. Color. A little bit more color here. And we have our snow globe. I think it turned out pretty good. Now notice I used the blue. The blue makes it feel a little bit cold. Now this green is really reflecting maybe like a background, the color kind of coming in from the background behind the snow globe. So if I were to continue this, drawing like a shelf coming out this way, then I may put some dark elements of green back here that would be in the room that this was setting in. If that makes sense. But anyway, that's what we've got so far. And always remember though, one thing I should stress more and I don't, you always need to put your name on your work, okay? Because, and maybe the year too. That's probably a good idea. I always like to do that. But anyway, it's really a joyful time of year if you try to pull in, I think, all these warmth and loving and giving attitudes that come forward, right? And that's something. Charity is something big, I think, this year that for me anyway, I'm looking into because I'm very thankful for my family and I'm thankful for my community. I'm thankful for this station. I'm thankful for you, the viewer. This is a very special channel. Not all regions or communities have a channel like this. It's a great resource. So it's a privilege of mine to be able to come on here and share my hobby with you. It's been a joy, and we'll look forward to, God willing, another year coming up pretty soon, and maybe we'll get to episode 200 one day, right? So thank you all so much for tuning in. I wish you all the best wishes for this holiday season with love, cheer, charity, and humbleness. Take care. On behalf of Pike TV, my name is Chris Epling, and on behalf of the Art Workshop, we encourage you to keep drawing.